31. There we go, you all look ready. So then, just come to stand to begin with. I hope you're all feeling good, and hopefully we feel a bit more energized by the end of this. So feet hip distance apart, knees nice and soft. I just want you to take it into some shoulder rolls to begin with. Always kind of feel at the end of the day that my attention sits here. So just join in with me just to see if we can loosen that tension off. Bring in your focus to your breathing. Inhale as the shoulders come up and exhale as they come down. Visualizing those shoulder blades as they slide up and down your rib cage. And maybe starting to draw a little bit of attention to just below your belly button, just gently drawing in, creating a little bit of tension across the front of your pelvis. Let's change the direction of those shoulder circles. So come from back to front now, but keep that breath nice and deep. As the shoulders come forwards, visualize them separating, the shoulder blades separating from one another. Get a little bit of a stretch for the mid-back. We've got some mid-back work when we come down onto the mat, so good to kind of remind ourselves of that area. We're going to just set the shoulders after this next one. So shoulders come up, round, back and down, and we gently tuck them into the back pockets, okay? A little bit of tension in this area to maintain that lovely position. The collarbones are long and we're nice and tall. We're going to just take one hand to begin with, and we're going to float that hand right up and over to the top without letting that shoulder creep up to the ear, and slowly lower down. Repeat that on the second side. Breathing slowly with your movement. Don't mind which way you do, in or out, up and down, doesn't matter. But as that hand floats up, gently drawing in your center, so pelvic floor or deep tummy, and then releasing that tension as we lower down. We know these muscles work hard for us throughout the day without thinking about it, but Pilates gives us an opportunity just to reconnect, strengthen that connection with mind and body, especially with those deep core muscles. Okay, we're going to add a little bit of a heel raise, so double heel raise, but keep working with one arm. So floating up to tiptoes, single arm lift, and then lowering down, heels lower. Focus your attention to your pelvis. So as you raise up onto tiptoes, make sure that pelvis rests level and we don't create more of an arch in the back than we need to. And slowly come down. Make sure those pelvic bones don't switch from side to side either, although they shouldn't, as we're keeping our weight fairly central. Really good. Let's take that to one more on each side. Just going to see if anybody else has joined us. No, this is good. Okay. Beautiful. Okay, we're going to hold the heel raise. So first balance challenge, heels lift, and then we take it into a double arm lift. Okay, so keeping the rib cage down as the hands come up, and then lower down. Keep those heels lifted throughout. We're just coming up and down with the arms. So as those arms come up, try not to let your ribs flare forwards. We want that nice strong connection between the rib cage and the pelvis. Floating up and down, raising up with the arms, keep the heels lifted. Now if the calves start to become tired, lower them down, shake out your legs, reset and go. But it's a real good one for building up endurance around the calves and the muscles in the foot and the ankles. We're going to hold the next one, holding here. Or for a bit more of a balance challenge, we glance to the left, we glance to the right, we glance forwards, and we lower down. Everything comes down. Repeat again. So floating up, tiptoes, hands overhead, shoulders set, stay looking forwards, or adding that head turn. Bit more of a balance challenge. Good work, and down. Two more, just the same. Hopefully those calves are warm. Mine are nice and warm now. Keeping your center set, tummy, pelvic floor, I don't mind. Beautiful. We're going to stay up after this one, but do your little hold to start with. Hands overhead, shoulders set, looking forwards or glancing side to side. Everybody brings their gaze back forwards and we continue to hold, or we do a little top range pulse. So little lifts on those heels. 10, 9, 8, 7. Feel the lactic acid. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Well done. Come down from the heels, bring the arms down and give those heels a little bit of a stretch out in front. Toes up towards the ceiling. Well done. Oh, that should go your heart rate up a little bit as well. Okay, so we've worked on those calves. We've worked a little bit onto our balance. We're going to challenge our balance a little bit more now as we work into the hips. So find your neutral pelvis, place your hands on your hips. This is where you might want to chair. Probably place your chair in front of you if you need a bit of balance support. I'll show you what we're doing and then you can work out what you need, okay? So you're going to come down into a little bit of a squat. You're going to push back up to stand. As you come up to stand, shift your weight across to one leg so you can lift the opposite leg out to the side. Back to centre, down, push up, across and lift, okay? If you're holding onto your chair, you'll just be here. But I would advise, if you can, to keep one hand on your pelvis of the side of the leg that's lifting, so that you're making sure that that hip lift comes from your bottom muscles and not the muscles between your rib cage and your pelvis. So look at the difference between this, yeah? Hitching or lovely controlled movements that I'm feeling in the side of my hips, and I'm working harder to stabilize on that standing leg as well. Let me see. You go as low as you want with your squats. Good work. Really nice. You've all got your hands on your hips so I can tell that you're keeping your pelvis nice and level. Good work. And nobody needs a chair. You might regret that in a minute. One more on each side. Down, squeeze, down and squeeze. Hold this next one, okay? So you've got one leg lifted. If you need to, lightly press that toe down onto the floor. We're going to bring our attention onto our standing leg as we bend and straighten, bend and straighten. There's that balance. Arms out to the side if needs be now. Yeah, but still trying to make sure that that pelvis isn't hitching. Pelvis stays roughly level. 6 more. Standing legs should be warm now. 5 more. Woo. 4 more. 3 more. 2 more. You made it. Good. Come back to the centre. Straight across to the second side. Soft knee. Lift the leg. Holding on if you need to. Press and stand. So as if the ceiling's just coming down on you and then you're pushing it back up. Oh my goodness, this second side's hard. We already tied that leg out when we held it out to the side, and now we're loading it up. 6 more. Oh, 5 more. 4 more, nearly done. Not a huge amount of hips on the mat, I don't think. Maybe there is. 3 more. 2 more. And 1 more. Well done, you made it. Come back to the centre. Give those hips a little bit of a rub or a shake if you need to. I hope you felt that. That was quite a nice isolating movement, really targeted at hips and knees. So good one for everyone. Okay, a bit of a wider squat stance now, and we're going to have a little bit of a stretch. Okay, so just in a position that you find comfortable, see if you can set that neutral pelvis. And we're just going to reach over to the side. We're not going to stay there because we're going to come back to the front, and then we're going to reach forwards. And I want you to send your hips behind you as your hands come forwards. So you're trying to make your spine as long as you can. Second side. Reach forwards. Keep the legs fairly straight. They don't need to be locked out, but we want to try and avoid those knees from bending, so that as you reach forwards, you're feeling the length in the back of your legs and your spine. So your forward reach looks like this, aiming to get a flat back if you can. Maybe you're just here today. As your flexibility improves, we aim to bring you down here, so that nice flat spine. Okay, so just side, make your side reach a little bit longer as things loosen off. Breathe out as you stretch and in as you move. Forwards. Let me see you. Very good. That's nice. Good stuff. Okay. I want you to pause when you get to your next forward stretch. So you're reaching forwards towards your camera. Once you're in that position, look down to the floor, but keep the back of the head lifted, yeah? So when we think about our box position, we don't let our head hang down. We keep the back of the head lifted. Now draw your tummy towards your spine. Hold 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. And slowly bring yourself back in and stack up to stand. Very nice. Okay, a little bit of a challenge in the back, isn't it, holding ourselves against gravity with long hamstrings, so muscles don't work quite so well when they lengthen, so it's a good challenge. Okay, a few roll downs before we come onto the mat. So if you want to just stand at the end of your mat, let's go back to our simple stuff now, nice and tall to begin with, and when you're ready, just slowly peel yourself down through your spine. Taking it one bone at a time. Back should feel a little bit looser from that last one, but we'll do a few of these, so don't feel like you need to rush them. Head to the bottom and stack back up. Let me come and see how you're moving. Beautiful. Slowly going a little bit deeper. We'll just do a couple more. Oh, you okay, Helen? Great. Okay, use this next one to come down onto your mat. We're going to set up in our box position. So I know you're just making a camera adjustment. Anybody else who needs to, I'll give you a moment. So slowly roll down and then walk out into your box position. Okay, so whilst you're getting into that position and making any camera adjustments, just remind you of your box. The back of your head is lifted, shoulders sliding down and tucking into your back pockets, and your tailbone is nice and long. So try and find that flat back position again. That's going to be really important. So we're going to start with something that we're familiar with, and then we're going to mix it up a little bit and move in a slightly different way. So we're just going to start with our swimming legs. So for swimming, it's where we slowly extend one foot out to the back. Maybe keep the toe in contact with the mat. Maybe float the foot away from the mat. Remember, the key with this is the pelvic position. So you've got that tray of drinks resting on your flat back, and as you extend the leg out behind, you're trying not to spill across to the side of your non-moving leg. And if you add the foot lift, we're trying not to arch the back. So keep that back as long as you can. I want you to think of your tailbone throughout the whole of that movement. Imagine somebody's looped a piece of ribbon around the bottom of your tailbone, and they're gently pulling that tailbone away from you towards the direction of the bottom of your mat. Keep the tension through that tailbone as your legs move. Your tummy is being gently drawn away from the mat to help. So you should feel your tummy working as you work into those leg extensions, and maybe adding that leg lift. And remember, your leg lift can be small if you're kind of working to build up that control. No point it being up here if you end up having a big arch in your back. So it's all about that long spine and really recruiting those abdominal muscles. Check in on your head every now and again, and just make sure it hasn't started to sag down towards the mat. But these are looking wonderful. If anybody starts to feel it in the wrists, sit back into your heels, give your wrists a little bit of a stretch, and then reset. Well done, everyone. These look beautiful. Okay, we're going to add an arm movement in now. Well, usually what we do is a forward arm reach, but we're going to try and work the mid-back and also the tricep. So if you pause where you are, we're going to do opposite arm, opposite leg. Okay, so as your leg extends out behind, you take one hand and you squeeze your elbow towards your rib cage and then lift that elbow to the back of the top of the room. Lower back down again, touch your hand down onto the mat, and repeat on the opposite side. So draw the elbow towards the rib cage and then lift it above if you can. So you're basically trying to get this part of your arm up towards the ceiling without it drifting away from your body. So think wings tucked in, lift up towards the ceiling. So you should feel that in your tricep muscle, the muscle at the back of the upper arm, and the mid back as you bring that arm a little bit higher than your body. Making a fist will just create a little bit more tension through your arm as you lift. And I want you to really think about squeezing the arm. Imagine you've got a rubber band on the floor and you're pulling that rubber band up towards you. Or you've got an old-fashioned lawnmower that needs a little bit of a pull. I know you don't have an old-fashioned lawnmower, Sue. Well done. I think you've got that. Looking good. Make sure though that leg doesn't get left behind though. We want to keep it nice and straight, and we want to keep that pelvis nice and long. Good stuff. Okay. Hold the position on one side. In fact, let's all do the same side so it's easy for me to talk you through it. So the left leg is lifted, the right arm is lifted. We're now going to take that right arm and we're going to reach it out to the side. So we've now got a straight right arm and the palm is facing down towards the floor. Let me turn forwards. So kind of aeroplane arms with the leg out behind. If you feel a bit wobbly holding this position, just gently tap your toe down. We're going to hold here. We're tightening the tummy towards the spine. If you want to make it a little bit harder, pulse the back of your hand up towards the ceiling and think about squeezing your shoulder blade towards the direction of your spine. Little pulsing movement just with the arm. That's great. Well done, everyone. 10, 9, 8, 7. Keep the head lifted. 5, looking down still. 4, 3, 2, and 1. Beautiful. Touch down with that right hand. Left leg comes in. Reset, take it to the second side, okay? So left arm lifted out in that horizontal lift. Right leg extended out to the back. Toe tap down, leg held. Hold to begin with, set that posture. Now as that arm is held off the mat, make sure that your shoulders haven't crept up towards your ears. And make sure your tailbone is still being pulled in the direction of the bottom of your mat. Adding the pulse with the arm if you want. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, you've got it, and 1. Lovely. Come down, hand down, foot down, back into box, and then with your breath out, slowly sink down into a shell stretch. Really nice. Okay, we're halfway through, over halfway through actually, so just have a pause for a moment. We come down into a bit of a hip and shoulder sequence shortly, so I just want you to give your wrists and shoulders a little bit of a chance just to settle. Okay, then coming to face forwards, we're going to set up in a side prop. So you've got your feet and knees stacked on top of one another, and you're sitting on your hip with your hand supporting you. If you're struggling with the wrist support, you can take it down to forearm. Okay, so we're going to alternate between 2 movements. We're going to come clam into side bend. So set your starting posture up. Lift the underside of your ribs away from the mat. Gently press your feet together. Float your top knee up without rolling back off your hip. Clam, and then we lift and lower. Yeah, okay. So clam, set, lift, and lower. Option with the side bend is just hover the hips off the mat. Yeah, you don't have to come too high, or you can take it into a full side bend where you're aiming to create that diagonal line through the center point of your body. I'd keep your top hand on your hip so that as you work into climb, you're making sure you're not rolling back. Keep the front of that pelvic bone pointing forwards, even as your knee lifts. And you should feel that you're loading up your hand, but as you lift your hips off the mat, the tension and force going into that hand increases slightly. And if that's too much, we take it into a forearm prop position, shorten the lever slightly, lessens the load. 3 more like this. I know these are tough, but we shouldn't shy away from challenges. 2 more. Okay, we're going to take it into a side bend hold. So do the best that you can. Lift your hips off the mat. You're either going to stay here or you're going to add 6 clams back in, okay? 6, 5, drop the clams if you need to. Hips can come down and lift again. 4, 3, press into the heel of your hand. 2, and 1. Lovely, come down. Bring yourself back to sit. And I would just give that shoulder a bit of a roll and that wrist a bit of a shake. Good stuff. I hope you like that one. Bit of a mix-up movement. Let's flip over and try it on the second side, okay? I'll move you along slightly. So you've got your feet going in the opposite direction. Hand on the opposite end of your mat. Knees and hips stacked on top of one another. Get going when you're ready, guys, but I will set up and join you in a moment. Okay, so lifting through the underside of the ribs, hand on the top hip, clam, and side bend. Okay, now you might feel that one side just lifts easier, one hip just opens more. That's fine. Work with control rather than trying to make it match up. The more we work on these things, the more we create that symmetry. Now, as you're lifting into your side bend, take a note of the distance between your shoulder and your ear. Make sure that you don't collapse down into your ear as you lift off the mat with your hips. Good stuff. And you can do a little tiny pelvic floor as the hips lift. But believe you me, there's a lot working in there, even if you're not thinking about it. Okay, let's go for a few more and then we'll add our hold in. Resting if you need to before then. Good work. 2 more. Okay, 1 more. Hold your next side bend. Either stay here, lift and hold, or add 6 clams back in. Breathe out as we come up. 6, 5, lower down at any point if you need to. I know these are hard to hold. 4, 3, almost there, no more shoulders after this. 2, push through if you can. And 1, lovely, come down with the hips, with the knees. And again, just give that shoulder a nice big circle and that wrist a little bit of a shake. Good stuff. I always get so shocked at how quickly these go. So we've got about 5 minutes left. So we're going to finish with some abs work. So if you want to come and have a lie on your back for me, we're going to set up with some scissors. I think we did this a couple of weeks ago, maybe even last week. It's been a bit of a strange week because we didn't have any face-to-face classes on Thursday because of the snow, so I'm a little bit unsure. Feels like a long time since I did any Pilates. Okay, so setting yourself up in your rest position. I'm going to go straight into this because I know what you guys are doing. So scissors, we take it slow. We stack one leg, knee over hip, and this is our level 1. Remember, it's about what's going on down here. So can you do this with nice control in your pelvis? If you want to work a little bit harder, we gently slide the ribs down towards the pelvis and we go a little bit quicker. So we scissor midway, okay? Lift and lower. Pelvic floor is engaged. Okay, so either slow or quick. Now we're going to add a little bit with the arms. So reach your hands up towards the ceiling. Imagine you're holding a balloon. Okay, you hold the balloon above your shoulders for 4 counts with your feet, 2 on each side. Then you reach the balloon over to the top, for 4 counts on each feet again, 2 on each side. I think we did this last week, yeah? So 4, 3, 2, 1, hands to the top, 4, 3, 2, 1, back overhead, yeah? If you're doing the slower scissors, your count's going to be a little bit slower, that's fine. Now, as those hands come over to the top, take care not to let your ribs flare up towards the ceiling. Good work. You should feel this already. If you don't, yeah, hook those knees out if you need to. If you're not feeling this, keep going. Good work. Okay, you've got a few more rounds. I'm going to join in with you for a few more rounds. Making sure that you're breathing. Let's go for one more round at each balloon position. Beautiful. Okay, now you're either going to hold a double tabletop or you're just going to bring your feet down towards the mat. So on the mat a bit easier, double tabletop, and we bring it into hundreds. So pulsing those arms. Squeeze the knees together if you're in double tabletop, or stay in a rest position if your feet are on the mat. Okay, tummy's drawn towards the spine. We pulse here. Now start to count your pulses. If you want to, we're going to add an abdo prep. So for every 4 pulses, slowly float the head and shoulders off the mat, chin nice and lifted away from the chest, and then slowly lower the head and shoulders back down again. 4, 3, 2, 1, and 4, 3, 2, 1. Think about, as the head and shoulders lift, your rib cage shortening towards your waist, rather than your head and shoulders actually lifting off the mat. So if your movement is driven from your ribs, you're going to get a lot more abs work than neck work. And this should be felt more in your tummy rather than your neck. And if you don't like the head and shoulders lift, just keep working with your hundreds. Lovely. Now let's have all of those knees stacked directly over the hips. No closer or no further away. Good. 3 more rounds. Coming up for 4 and down for 4. Couple minutes left. Last little push. One more after this. I'm going to say one more. I mean one more exercise, not one more repetition. Good stuff. Very nice. Okay, come back down with your hands, down with your legs. Okay, we're going to take our right leg and we're going to place it in tabletop position. We're going to do a super slow stretch with the leg. Go as slow as you can and then slow it down even more. So lengthening the foot towards the bottom of your mat. The lower your foot goes, the more load on your spine. Make sure your back doesn't lift off the mat, and then slowly fold back in. Let's swap sides. So place the foot down, float the left leg into tabletop. We lengthen the foot away as we go. Start to squeeze, squeeze, squeeze into the thigh. Slowly lower the foot down if you want a little bit more. Float back up and fold in. So you can kind of keep your foot high. So your end position might be here, or it might be here. The kind of pace that you're looking for is a 1, 2, 3, 4, back in 4, 3, 2, 1. Just slow it down for a little bit, okay? You can stay here, or interlace the fingers, support behind the head. We add the abdo prep back in. So as the foot lowers down, the head and shoulders float off the mat. So kind of glancing down towards the foot. And then as the foot folds back in, head and shoulders come back down again. Remember, it's about that rib cage driving down towards the pelvis. And as the rib cage drives down, the lower abs lengthen as the foot extends away from us. Good stuff. If you don't get on with the head and shoulders, just work the legs. 3 more or thereabouts on each side. Breathe out as you come up with your head and shoulders and down with your legs. Well done. Can you squeeze those thighs when those legs are out straight for me? That's great. Lovely. If the head and shoulders isn't working for you, Helen, and you want to work a little bit harder, bring your left leg into tabletop as your right leg extends. So you're in like a double tabletop, and then you're just doing a single leg lift. See how you get on with that, or just come back to what you were doing. Good. Well done, everyone. I'm going to do 2 more on each leg. So that means you've got 2 more on each leg. I know I just said 3 more and you've probably already done 3. Breathe out to come down and in. Now don't speed them up just because we're nearly finished. These are slow, controlled, steady, but strong movements. The legs are going to be heavier the slower we take them. Should be coming into your last round now. And then once you've finished your final repetition, feel free to give those knees a lovely hug, stretch out your back, and just let those abs relax. A little bit of a rock from side to side if you want to. Well done. So I think we felt that in the calves to begin with, then the shoulders when we were on the mat, and then the abs to finish off with. Oh, and the hips when we were doing our balance work. Got a full body workout there. So stretch out a little bit more for those of you that need to. But yeah, come and say goodbye when you're ready.